Been a while since I've done one of my best in-class videos, and today we're taking a look at war beasts and what I consider to be the best, most cost-effective war beasts in the game, Sabretusk pack. War beasts as a class are pretty interesting. They're sort of adjacent to light cavalry, although you have a lot more variety in terms of war beasts in their, model count and characteristics. Some of them have armor piercing, some of them do not. Wide variety of cost as well. But the Sabretusk pack, although they don't have armor piercing, do have very good weapon strength and a solid model count coming in at 32. Their main downside, Rampage, makes them go out of control, of course, once they've taken some damage. Can actually be an upside, though, especially if you're newer to the game. Maybe you don't have the micro. Sometimes the target that it chooses will be a good target for your unit to pursue, like a routed high-value unit, for example. But anyway, this replay from its current year, and yes, confirming that, Ogres versus Khorne, obviously, and we should probably get the builds as already taking some damage. Valkia popping that demon shield. We've got some Fleshhounds, who are another very good unit in this class, so much so that they actually were nerfed. Probably were the best unit in this class at the launch of the game, but anyway, got some Chaos Halberds here. We've got some more Fleshhounds, some Chaos Minotaurs of Khorne, of course. Great weapons for anti-large, as they're up against the Ogres. Makes plenty of sense. Some Noblar Trappers about to be destroyed by a Spear Slopnir, with Vmore as the front line. We've got Lead Belchers, some Powder Guts here, and Ogres with dual weapons. Alongside, just more Sabretusks and Trappers. So, see how they get on. The Hunter here with his anti-large javelin can throw up in the sky. Hit Valkia, although she doesn't count as anti-large, still does some solid armor-piercing damage. But let's get back to quick comparison. As these engagements develop here, these Fleshhounds are going to get engaged by some Bulls charging in. Fleshhound, 65 weapon strength, 38 attack, 26 defense. And you can see the Sabretusk pack actually have slightly more weapon strength, attack, and defense. Less leadership. Of course, they're non-demonic as well, which means they're also going to rout instead of take demonic instability damage. But 30 armor, so very similar stats to Fleshhounds for considerably less cost. And that is why I say they are the best. We're going to get a nice engagement here, though, with some Minotaurs with great weapons fighting it out. They will absolutely decimate those Ogre Bulls with dual weapons as Valkia drops to try and snipe the Slaughtermaster here in the center. The Ogre range units are going to respond in kind, though, hard here and start to pick away those Marauder Horsemen. The Ogre Caster, of course, can heal himself back up, get back up to full strength, and the Hunter here taking significant damage as well. So it's not looking great initially for the Ogres in this center as they start to take a lot of damage, but Sabretusks are activated out on the flanks. They're going to be moving in, start to deal some significant damage. Thing about that high weapon strength, even kind of medium to somewhat heavy armor units like these Minotaurs with 70 armor, which is pretty good, don't get me wrong. The Sabretusks with their 70 weapon strength can do quite a bit. It's 25 AP, which is enough certainly to get through, plus the rest, potentially on the armor rolls, will take a lot of damage. Here we get a nice, just straight up engagement between a couple of fantastic war beasts. And the Fleshhounds are taking this bad end of that engagement as more of these Sabretusk packs start to move in. Its current year understands the importance of taking care of his enemy's mobility here, so he's trying to clean up all these Fleshhounds while he can with superior numbers. And this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of cost effectiveness. I mean, I think the Fleshhounds are 750, these guys are 500, I believe. We'll have to double check that, but that's the case. I mean, 3v2 is just straight up trade in terms of value, but of course the Ogres will end up winning that out because of their superior numbers. So with that mobility advantage secured, they can now respond to the absolutely destroyed center. These Powder Guts are having to fight it out with the Minotaurs with great weapons in combat. Not ideal. They certainly will stand up better than most other range units in the game, of course, because of their ROR trait. But they're going to be able to disengage there, try and move to a safe position, continue firing. This is the downside of the enrage, though. You can see, like, this Sabretusk, I believe, is enraging into these halberds, which is definitely not ideal by any means. They're going to be taking quite a bit of damage, or they might enrage back into these skull cannons, which might, on paper, seem like a good thing, and it is going to occupy them. But, of course, Skull Cannons heal in melee and also regenerate ammunition, so it's going to be giving them both more health and HP as that fight drags on. If the Sabretusks are not able to do enough damage to actually kill these units, although its current year does just target one back there for those reasons, it is a little bit of a risk-reward situation. Center, he's able to reclaim here with the help of those Sabretusks, getting a nice rear charge, getting his ranged units nice and safe, and just blasting these Khorne infantry. So in a quick hurry, things went from very bad looking to somewhat decent looking as a lot of Khorne's leadership just crumbles away. Ogres, of course, with that nice healing, are able to sustain damage very well and get a nice comeback, but let's see. Nice firing from the high ground there. The Noblars, Leadbelchers, Hunter throwing his javelin as well. But Khorne's certainly not out of this yet, and the Sabretusks, their low-ish leadership, does come back to haunt them in some situations. They can rout off sometimes a little early, not pay for themselves, which is kind of one of their main downsides. But here, these units are all going to rout off. This unit will stay for the time being. Gets its attack order canceled out, gets charged by Minotaurs. Not going to be the best. See some more there on the high ground. They've been enraged, chasing down those broken halberds for quite some time. Again, not the worst thing in the world to chase that routing unit and make sure it's finished off, especially considering the halberds are much more expensive than Sabretusks, but gonna be close here. The Skull Cannons teeing off on what's left of the Powder Guts. There's 3 of them there having a little shootout. Let's get in close at eye level and watch as the Skull Cannons try and finish this off, and the Ogres try and finish off the Skull Cannons. Although, will they be successful? It's hard to say. Yeah, the Sabretusks are having some leadership issues, not quite able to get through the Skull Cannons. Let's put this on a little bit of a fast forward, as this does go on for some time. And the Ogre range units will try and just outshoot. The Leadbelchers in the back are the biggest factor here, I think, being able to take down these Skull Cannons. And the Noblar Trapper shooting also shouldn't be discounted. It doesn't do nothing. Eventually, Skull Cannons are going to rout all of Sabretusks except this one that over-enraged. Has been enraged for basically the whole battle. I don't know if that's a bug, actually, but comes in the late game and is going to help finish off the one and move in on the other. Keep it occupied while the Leadbelchers fire in. Those 2 Powder Guts still remaining. Just a ridiculously strong ROR, honestly. One of the strongest in the game, probably. Oof, they narrowly avoid that fiery blast there. And I think that's going to be the end as this Skull Cannon finally gets dragged down. Valkia as well. Just eating tons and tons of shots from the Trappers. And everything else. It's too much for her to handle. And even the Skull Cannon goes down. So, nice victory from its current year. Very close game and a good comeback. The big component of that, of course, is the Sabretusks, and we see some incredible value from them. I mean, only one of them does not pay for themselves, and even then they come reasonably close. I mean, 948 on one, 867, and 769 on the 3. They performed well. Very good damage value on them. The rest of the army does okay. Hunter definitely takes some serious damage, but the ranged units, of course, of the Ogres also help clutch things out in tandem with that mobility. And then for the Ogres, for Khorne, very nice on the initial approach, very hard hitting, but just kind of ran out of steam as the mobility was shut down very effectively. Again, 3d4 is cost-effective trade for the Ogres, certainly, and it is one that's realistic to take as well. So, yeah, not a lot of the other Khorne units are going to pay for themselves. Skull Cannons do okay. Let's go ahead and just quickly finish out here, talk about a couple of different war beasts. I don't know that I'm going to hit them all. There are quite a few in the game. But some notable, very good ones. Of course, we've talked plenty about the Sabretusks. 500 cost, I think, is probably too cheap. They should probably go up to like 600, 650, if not same cost as Fleshhounds, honestly, because again, these units are extremely comparable. The magic damage, demonic abilities maybe give Fleshhounds an extra 50 to 100 value. It's arguable, but yeah, I think they should be a little bit closer in terms of cost. Other notable ones, Beastmen, of course, have their very cost-effective armor-piercing Razorgore herds. Worse stats overall, but again, you get a nice charge, a little bit of armor. They have Strider as well, which is nice in uneven terrains. Of course, you could also consider your regular Warhounds, Warbeasts. They're, higher model count, much more flimsy, great for fast attack. I'm a big fan of them also. Low mass, but also infantry. Unit size means they can bypass like spears, charge defense, for example. Let's see. Go to demons here. You've also got the toads, which are a solid choice for Nurgle. Gives them a modicum of mobility, and some pretty hard-hitting power as well. Yeah, let's see here if I kind of think through some other ones. You've got Squig Herds, which are also very cheap in armor piercing. They're a little slow, as are the toads, but here we go. Yeah, very cheap, very, very cheap, super cost-effective, and anti-infantry armor piercing as well, so can actually deal with Warhounds, the infantry-sized ones, decently, and just overall a decent add in a lot of greenskins horde builds. Let's see, you've got the Clever Girls, don't forget about them. Of course, 450 cost, also very cheap for Feral Cold ones, armor piercing damage, 90 armor as well, although they're not very tanky just due to that low overall HP pool. Still, great fire and forget tool, and again, can trade against some other war beasts pretty nicely because of that 90 armor. Let's see. Got Wolf Rats, which also kind of fit into that Warhound class, along with the undead types as well. The Direwolves and Scurvy Dogs. And then I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, I might have forgotten a few here or there, but overall, interesting unit class, a lot of different variety of characteristics. Oh yeah, I did forget one, of course, the one that seems the devs also forgot. The High Elves, of course, War Lions, probably the least cost-effective of this entire unit class. It is the most expensive. Probably do with a little bit of cost reduction, but if you can keep these guys alive, they are quite good. With some nice earth blood healing in a blob. They can be effective, but do require some significant micro because of that higher cost. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.